I do a lot of gratitude. And so I think often that I'm so grateful that I have a creative life. Even when you're on set life can be crazy. And you're like, but look at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is the craziest industry, but I'm playing make-believe. And somebody's getting me a coffee. What the heck? I live a great life.
Hey, let this shit ride for a minute, man. If you got a dream, you gotta go get it. It ain't gonna be easy, it's a lonely road. Very lonely road. But you gotta push through and figure it out. Hey.
Yo, what up, though? We are here right now with another episode of REL Talk V. Listen, man, I'm so excited because today I get the opportunity to talk to somebody I genuinely love, admire, and respect. Listen, let me just give you a little bit about who this is. She is an actress who has worked with some of the biggest names in Hollywood and music, such as Diane Carroll, Wesley Snipes, Maya Angelou, and Drake, just to name a few. She's also worked on Disney alongside Hilary Duff in Cadet Kelly. And then she went on to have a spectacular 6 seasons on Degrassi, The Next Generation, as the world famous Hazel. She has been featured in Teen, People, New York Times, and Entertainment Weekly magazines. She's also worked on Nickelodeon and BET, and she started her own production company, Jungle Wild Productions, where she created her hit web series, Black Actress. She is the creator and executive producer of the Black Beauty Effect series, which is now available on Netflix and Xfinity, and she's also the co-star of our hit movie, 3 Ways, which is airing right now on Hulu. Please, and when I say please, I mean it, put your hands together for the one and only Andrea Lewis. Hey, come on now. How are you?
Very good.
Give her
Thank
a
you for
love,
that wonderful intro.
I had to, I had to get you in because I wanted to make sure people knew who we were sitting here with.
Thank you.
I gotta make sure we get the respect and the love that's out there.
I love that.
How are you feeling, man?
I feel great. How are you? I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this whole entire production. I think this is awesome.
You know, I have a little tagline I don't even get to tell people, but when people get to see my show, and I know right now, this is another episode of REL Talk. So we got to make sure y'all catch that tag in there. This is REL Talk, man. I like to sit down and have conversations with my friends because I think you guys are some of the most amazing people that I've ever encountered in my life, right? And even when I talk about you and I talk about your story, I talk about your bio, it excites me because you've already done, to me, so much in this industry. Talk to me a little bit about, for you, what sparked that idea. Obviously, I know you're from Canada, you have this background, but what was the thing? Give me a little bit about your upbringing and growing up and where these ideas came from.
Well, I was just really lucky. I was very fortunate. I started in the business when I was a toddler. My mom was approached by a casting director when we were in the mall together. And I was only a year old, but she didn't know anybody that was doing this necessarily, but she took the card of this woman. And then the next year she was on maternity leave again with my brother. And she was like, oh, I have more time. Let's see. She didn't know anybody doing this, but you never know. She called the lady remembered us. And that was honestly how it started. It was like, I started doing print and kind of like catalogs and, things like that, commercials. And I just kind of progressed. But I was always like an entertainment baby. I always liked the entertainment field. So it's like I was doing everything from a young age. So it wasn't necessarily like I was, I guess I never think of myself as having like a traditional child actor life, as in like where people are kind of forced in the industry or your parents are the ones that are kind of leading you. It was more the opposite. It was just like my mom was lucky and then I like doing this. I really suited it. So yeah, when I was a kid, yes, I needed my parents to take me to an audition and do all those kinds of things. Yeah, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I kind of thought it was really normal. I just thought everybody was doing the thing that they wanted to be doing. Yeah. I didn't think anything of it. I also had I grew up in the suburbs of Toronto, and it's like there was there was a couple other kids around me, like in school, that like either they were a model or they were like something in sports. Like there was a few other children that also had basically extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
Like, so it didn't feel all that strange to, I guess, my classmates.
Yeah.
Oddly, like, and I don't know, I was just very fortunate that like I had a lot of teachers who were really excited for me. So people encouraged my creativity from like a really young age.
That makes sense.
And they like encouraged me doing this thing. So it wasn't treated like you were doing something specific.
Yeah.
It was just treated like, yeah, we all have something. Like my brother was really great at sports. My brother did commercials when he was a kid.
Okay.
And then when he was like 13, he didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
And it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, okay, yeah, no problem really. Like we'll focus on the other thing. I would say though, maybe when I was like 14 or 15 is when I knew this is all that I would be doing. Like I did not have a desire for anything else.
And
like
this was before you getting the seasons on Degrassi?
yeah, this is before I was on Degrassi.
So you were already at a point where you're like,
I was already an actress, and I was all like, I had like just a lot of little moments. I played young Natalie Cole, and Robert Townsend was the director for this.
Shout out, yep.
And you know, if you know anything about Robert Townsend's journey, it's like he created, and he was just amazing.
Incredible.
So it's like, yeah, my parents were very good at like introducing me to Black artists.
Yeah.
So I knew all about Robert Townsend by the time I got onto that set, even though I was only like 13 years old. Yeah. It's like, I was like, I just saw Hollywood Shuffle. And he was like, why? And I was like, oh, my parents showed it to me. Like you know, like, why are you watching this stuff? But I was kind of like that. Like my mom always talks about, this is kind of like me as a kid. Losing Isaiah was out, and this starred Halle Berry. And this was like a really adult movie. Yes, and I literally made a date with my friends to go see it in theaters.
Oh, wow.
I was like that intense about like, I needed to see this performance. And my mom thought nothing of it. She was like, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like,
like just do it.
Like, well, yeah, we're going. I don't know. The only showings are 9 p.m., but let's go. Like,
That's crazy.
Like, so, like I said, I always tell people, I'm like, my greatest privilege was that everybody around me treated my pursuit and my wants as very normal. Nobody made me feel like I couldn't do these things. So that's why by time I was about 13, 14, I knew like, oh, I didn't have any desire for anything else. And I knew this was the only thing I'd probably be doing. I'd read this great article about Reese Witherspoon that talked about how she had her own production company, and a lot of the projects that she did had to be filtered through there. And I just remember thinking like, that is a white woman, not only a white woman, but she's almost like all-American, conventional in that way. And she is having to create her own work in order to sustain herself in this business. So I will as well have to do the same. And so I just kind of knew that that was the process. So yeah, by the time I was now like an adult, like 18 or something like that, is probably when I started to focus more on like, okay, what are the business sides of it? Like in terms of really understanding that you are in a business, that it's not just creative all the time. And what does this kind of thing look like? What are the other parts of this industry that I should
just
know?
Depend on acting.
No, like at all.
This is very obvious. You cannot just depend on it.
And you shouldn't. Like in reality, it's like you should want to do more.
Exactly.
You should have more thoughts.
Because you're an artist, right? I think our creativity runs so broad.
Yeah.
And I think if we allow ourselves to just be suppressed by saying, oh, I only want to do this one thing and focus on this one thing, we'll never grow.
Oh, not at all.
And you'll be just waiting in the line forever. Like, man, when is my chance going to come?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't happen.
You get to see, like, as you're doing this, there's so many perceptions of you. There's so many middlemen that you're like, oh, it's not that I can't do this thing. I have to just kind of get rid of all these people that are stopping me from doing this thing. It's like, yeah, I'm a Black girl. I grew up in Toronto. It's like I had little things that I just knew people were going to try and prevent you from pursuing it. But I always tell, I'm like, truly, the luckiest thing I had was that nobody told me I couldn't. So
that's beautiful.
That's
I think parents have a big influence on children, because even when I think about me as an artist, that's what I got from my parents. It's like, every time somebody asks my mom or my dad, they're like, where did he get this from? My mom and dad are like, I have no fucking idea. I have no idea why he does what he does. He just does it. But they allowed me to be so free as a child. They allowed me to explore. They allowed me to dream. And being able to do that, it just helped tremendous, I think, now in my career for what I do.
Oh no, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
You get to see the difference
Yeah.
on like the person who has to navigate like a lot of no's that came early in their life
Yeah.
versus the person who's been told it's okay.
Yeah.
Like you really see the difference in those people in the pursuit of it as an adult, because it is hard. It is like it's constant rejection. It's like it's peaks and its valleys, and so you need to have this foundation. And so when you meet somebody that you're like, no, I can tell that you've had the support, it's like it's a world of a difference.
Let me ask you this. How do you handle the no? I think we as artists, this is the thing that we run into the most. I was watching an interview, and Sterling K. Brown said 98% of the people in our industry are unemployed. At the same time, there's the 2%.
It's bleak.
Yeah, that are working, and you hope to stay in that 2%.
Yeah.
Because every time you book a job, you're in the 2%, but it's like when that job is over,
It's
you,
like,
you
oh my
back
God,
to
no.
98.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But for you, we face a lot of no's. We
Yeah, we
just
do.
do. And how do you, or would you say people should try to find this thing of staying encouraged?
It's really hard.
Because there's no answer, I know, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, what is your
I
mindset?
don't know. You know what? I
towards
guess
that?
it's like, one, you can't take them seriously. There's so many outside factors.
Yeah.
Like you kind of learn early. It's like I remember when I was a teenager, and it's like, sure, you're auditioning for this thing, and then you find out, oh, they already have this other person has this part. She's had this part the whole year.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just doing the auditions just for doing the auditions
Yeah.
and just to fill a quota. And you're like, what the heck? And so that no, it doesn't even count. It's like
It's facts. Yeah,
this
I
is
hear
the
that.
this is a part of the business that you're just kind of figuring out.
Yeah.
I think obviously there's some no's that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to be a person and acknowledge like, oh, I really wanted that thing. I was really hoping for that thing. But then there's so many others that like, yeah, I just think there's so much that's out of your control.
Yeah.
So I think about it more like, I don't know if I pay much attention to the no's. I pay more attention to like, am I feeling like I'm unable to do the thing I really want to be doing?
Yeah.
And so if we're taking like acting for an example, and say you are going on auditions or you don't have the agent, or you don't have this, or you don't have that, and you're like, I just want to really act.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling rejected by the industry, then now the only thing I have to figure out to solve is just how to act. And so does that mean I have to meet more writers or meet more directors, or do I have to get together a group of friends and we got to be making an indie, or I got to get onto a stage just to remind myself that I actually love acting and this is the thing? Like that's the bigger task to me, instead of focusing on the little no's that you get, because you'll get a million. You'll get them all the time.
Yeah.
They will drive you crazy.
Yeah.
And especially if you try to be what this industry wants you to be,
Yeah.
you'll be nothing.
Yeah. I think I learned when I was in college, my acting coach used to always say, no doesn't mean never, it just means not now.
That's true too.
And you kind of got to take that attitude towards it. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is just the not now. It doesn't mean never.
It really
doesn't mean it's
doesn't.
not going to happen for me.
And also, I guess that's the thing, is it's like sometimes you realize you got to know on something, you weren't ready for it. Which is why I'm like, yeah, you have to figure out that you have to focus on the bigger thing than the no, because that will at least target you to have like something to solve and to put your energy into something versus the little no's, because our business is it's so crazy. It's like, you know, yes, you could shoot a whole movie and then they can the whole thing. You could you could get onto set and then they say, actually, I'm not feeling her. Like,
feeling that,
let's bring this person in. That has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
That could be because the person they've cast beside you is actually such and such's son and they need him. And now you beside him doesn't quite look right for casting. And now we're putting in somebody else. That has nothing to do with your ability.
Yeah,
That's
very
just
true.
that's the craziness of this industry.
It is.
Unfortunately.
Let me ask you this. You, child star, you have success. You find these things, which I think is so fucking cool, that you are able to experience it at a young age. So I think it does prep you for the industry, but it also has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
Obviously, we
Yeah.
watch the stories. We see the TV shows and docuseries from about people, Nickelodeon, all that stuff. But for you, how has the transition been? How was the transition from people saying, okay, we love this character that you did on Nickelodeon or the Hazel from Degrassi or these things you did as a child star, and now they're trying to get adapted to you as an adult. And they're trying to see you as this actress that now they have to make the transition to still like you or still be a fan.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with the difference in being that child star to where you are now and what you're doing for yourself as an actress?
I mean, it's a constant that's a conversation I have a lot because it doesn't have a path.
Yeah.
It's so much self-work that has to be done in order to be able to navigate it, because in reality, people in general will box you in no matter what. People tend to really box you in with nostalgia. Yeah. And so if they see you as a kid and when they were a kid and now you're an adult and you're trying to do something else, their brains are like, but wait, you're still a teenager and you're that teenager and only that teenager.
That's all they can see.
And they will struggle with sometimes allowing you to grow up. And that can be hard. It can be hard for your self-esteem. It can be hard for even your own understanding of your own worth in the business. Yeah. But I think that's why I think it takes a lot of self-work because you are not responsible for other people's perceptions of you. You're only responsible for if you feel good about your pursuit, if you feel good about the person you're becoming. I actually do not have to remain a teenager just because you know me as a teenager. Exactly. And that's on you to figure that out. Yeah. I don't have to kind of walk you through it. But it takes a while to decide, like, how do I kind of do that? Because, there's something nice in somebody being like, oh, I grew up with you. I'm so excited to see you now. But wait, why are you doing any of this now? There's something that's unique about that. That's like, oh, great. I know that I can... I'm like, okay, you can tap into that audience, right? Because sure, it's like, especially like Degrassi there's like a cult following.
For sure.
But at the exact same time, you're like, I'm not Hazel from Degrassi. And please, you're also like, I'm not even my teenage self or my early 20s self that was on that show, that was figuring that like even the wants I had back then, I don't have now. So you're like, if I was to remain her for the comfort of this audience, I can't even imagine where my life would be. Be nowhere. Yeah. Trash. And so in reality, you have to, really have to build up not like a wall, but an understanding of self that allows you to say, it is okay for me to grow. Whomever is supposed to be with me on the next phase of my journey will remain with me.
That's awesome.
And they will be excited to grow with me because they recognize that they're growing up with me. Yeah. And just like they're growing, I'm growing, and we're growing together. And that's really great. Yeah. There will be some people who don't get it. That is okay. They are not your audience. Let them remain in their nostalgia. Because it's like, I was a little girl too. I also had shows that I loved. I always tell them, like, I grew up with Tia and Tamara. I love Tia and Tamara.
Oh yeah, that was
like,
sister.
Hello.
Roger.
Love.
Go home, Roger.
love them. But no, I am not expecting them to still be teenage.
That would be wild.
That would be very crazy. But I'm also just as loyal to them because I did grow up with them. And so there is an element of them that's like, I love these girls. They were the girls that I watched on TV. Yeah. So, but again, I do think it's like, you have to be comfortable with knowing that you don't have to be in this box. And that doesn't mean that you will disappoint these people. It just means I don't have to remain this version of whatever it is that you have in your head. But I still have it, like, to this day.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So, because that makes me think, like, when you are in that position, right, what is the role or what is the thing that's like, this is going to change it? Now they're going to see me as an adult. You see what I'm saying? Like, because you have to have that moment. Yeah. Or you have to at least have that role or opportunity that shows, okay, for you may think, and this is what was going mentally. You're like, okay, well, now when they see me do this, they're going to see an adult. They're not going to see a little girl.
You know what? That's the thing. I don't know if you necessarily should think about it like that. I think you have to think about it more so for your own resume versus like them. Because who's the generic them, right? Yeah. Like, who is this person you're thinking of? You're more so thinking about it for yourself, that you're like, yay, I am not a teenager.
Yep.
I'm finally not playing a teenage girl anymore. Or like,
was there a role for you that did that though? You know what I mean? Was there a role where you said, "Oh shit,
I don't know if I necessarily had a role that did that. I guess it's like I was always glad for change. So it's like I remember when I was like 19, I did this other series in Canada, and the character was like very layered. She started off really sweet, and then she was like in this love triangle, and she was manipulating it. She was being very crazy.
Yeah.
And I had not gotten to play a role like that. So that felt like, great. These people will no longer just see me as Hazel.
Yeah.
They'll see me as this other thing, or that she has these kinds of layers. But at the same time, like I said, I think it's hard to navigate that expectation for others.
Yeah.
Because, something silly from like my childhood. I did a movie called Cadet Kelly.
Okay.
And to this day, I have people that don't know that I am both Cadet Kelly movie and Degrassi. Because those two characters were so different.
Yeah.
They like, their brain does not even put them
not
as the
even
same person.
yeah.
So that's what I mean in terms of expectation. There's no role that you will ever do that will like satisfy that.
Yeah.
These roles are for you. And when you get to do them, you say, great, I finally have gotten to do something that I haven't done before, or looks different, or now somebody will get to see the full breadth of my work, or that I'm capable of doing this. But it has nothing to do with the audience. It's all for you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
think it's dope because you find the growth in you when you have that moment. It's
Absolutely.
I talk a lot about self-validation. It's very big to me because we don't need the validation from others. It comes from within.
Yes.
That's the only way that, to me, life works. That's the only way you're able to share your gifts with the world.
Yes.
That's the only way you're able to live in the fullness of who you are, is being able to say, I don't need approval from anybody when I truly have faith and believe that I am who I say I am.
Oh, absolutely. But I think that's like what you asked before. I think that work is the only way to transition, is essentially to know that my value is not tied up in an audience that loved me as a teenager.
Yeah.
My value is in how I actually see myself.
Yeah.
And the moment that you kind of let go of that expectation, the moment this business is more fun. Because, even if you were an adult, like, sure, that's when I was a kid. And so there's a lot of transitions that's happening in general as a child. But, I meet adult actors all the time that they played a certain role. They played it for a really long time. Now they can't even get out of that. They're just
some
like,
people can't break away. It's almost like I hear Mike Epps be like, I ain't Day-Day no more. Every time somebody sees me, they're like, Day-Day. And it's like,
no,
that's
literally.
not me. So it's hard sometimes. Or if you look at like a Jaleel White.
Yes.
Everybody sees him as Urkel.
Yes.
It's like, I don't care what you do. Did I do that? That's what they gonna see, bro. I don't care. But it is tough because even for me as an artist, I would look at somebody like him and it's like, I want to see you
do other
be
things.
able to show people
Yeah.
that you have the ability to be very versatile.
Yes.
And you can do anything.
Yes.
And it sucks sometimes because that is how the world adapts to artists that they fall in love with. It's
Yeah.
like, I just want to see you be this person all the time.
The thing is, and just like you're saying, like, there are people who want him to grow.
Yeah.
So he will just have to do it
Yeah.
and not care about, even
Yeah.
if the other voices feel louder, like, ignore them because you will. But it's a constant thing. I saw very recently the actress Janelle James, who plays Ava on Abbott Elementary. And she's basically complained
so
about that everybody just sees her as Ava. Every single thing she does right now, like.
But is it also a compliment to you? Because
Can be treated that way.
and sometimes it's tough. I only said it because it's like she plays the role
So well, yeah.
good. She's
I guess the thing is, though, is because it's like
so good.
she's so good at it, but I think some of these things that make it so good is because it's uniquely her.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is just kind of how I am.
Yeah.
And so, me flicking my hair is not Ava, that's me, Janelle, right? And I think that's her annoyance is that the audience is like, oh my God, Ava all the time. And she's like, no.
This is just who I am.
But that's also our business. Like, you can take it as a compliment. It is a compliment to say, oh, you know what? I did this thing so great and now everybody just sees me as this.
No,
Or
that
you
makes a lot
could,
of sense.
or I always think about it like this. It's like in our business, it's not a bad thing to have played a character that people hold on to. even if you've done a million others.
Yeah.
Like, that's a part of this business.
Yeah,
that's
it
a
is.
part of it. It's
It
like,
is.
so just roll with it. It's
I mean,
not
I
bad.
look at it too, like people are constantly doing it in movies. And I say that because we seen Eddie Murphy do another Beverly Hills Cop. You see Tom Cruise come back and do, you know what I mean? So in a lot of these movies are being remade, and you're bringing the cast back to play some of these same characters that we all fell in love with.
Yeah.
Even TV shows, The Connors.
Yeah,
they did
yeah,
it with-
yeah.
It's a lot. You know what I
It's the
mean?
same,
They're
yeah.
bringing it back because
Yeah.
it's like it's really not a bad thing to do that.
No.
You know, if you have the ability.
If you don't
people want it.
mind. Yeah, if you don't mind, because that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like it's again, it is still your pursuit.
Yeah.
So, like, pursue it the way you want.
Yeah.
If you want to, you know, I have friends that are child actors who, they still make a lot of child actor content, and they talk a lot about their child actor story and all of those kinds of things. And I think that's great because they're willing to stay in the nostalgia.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah.
I am not that girl. I'm like, you know me from this. Amazing. Welcome to my new life.
Yep.
And here we go.
And here we go.
And if they like it, they'll stay. If they're
Yeah.
not, they will go, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because it's just that when I think about you as a woman, right, you just exude so much beauty to me in every form of life. I mean, from the way that you carry yourself, the way that you treat people,
Oh my goodness.
your friends, the way that I watch you operate with your family. I've worked with you personally on set, and I've sometimes sat back and just been in admiration of who you are and how you show up. Because it's a real thing, and I just believe people like you should have an unlimited amount of opportunities just because of who you are as a person. You're
Yeah.
super talented and super gifted, but
Yeah.
it's like your soul, your compassion. And so that's only leading me to ask you, because I literally wrote this question. I said, I want to know, what gives you confidence?
Oh. Maybe that I've seen it all.
Okay. That
Like,
makes sense.
you
That
know,
makes
there's
sense.
there's no shock here. You know, I don't know. I've worked a lot on self-love and on confidence because I'm in this industry that has a lot of rejection,
Yeah.
that has a lot of people's perceptions of you that might be false to how you see yourself.
Yeah.
Because you know, it's like, because you're a minority in these spaces, because like all these things that would, you know, maybe prevent you from feeling good about yourself, I have actively worked on. And then at the same time, I do a lot of gratitude. Like, and so I think often that I'm like, I'm so grateful that I have a creative life. Even when you're on set life can be crazy. And you're like, but look at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, this is the
Yeah.
craziest industry, but I'm playing make-believe. And somebody's getting me a coffee. Like, what the heck? Like, I live a great life.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm like.
That makes a
I'm
lot of
like,
sense.
I
Yeah.
feel really grateful. So I honestly think my active practice of gratitude is what helps me to be confident and what helps me to treat people the way I want to be treated. Which is often the way I see it is I'm just like, how would I want to be treated? How do I feel? And so I try my best to reflect that. And honestly, I just think it's like, I really have seen a lot. And so it's like, you know, you see the good, you see the bad, you see the crazy, you see everything. And so it starts to make you really say, oh, I don't want to be that. I would never want to be
makes
that.
a lot of sense,
I would never want somebody to feel like that after dealing with me. I would never want to feel like that after dealing with somebody else. So I'm not going to reflect that in any kind of way. And so I think that's a really lovely compliment. Oh my God. But at the same time, I would say it's just that I am very self-aware. And my self-awareness leads me to do a lot of like confronting of low self-esteem moments, unaware moments, unsure. If I'm dealing with somebody and I just didn't think that was a true reflection of me, I'll like pin it and I'll be like, okay, why did you answer like that? Or why did you think to say that? Or what was that? Or I think a lot about my young self. And when my young self was in scenarios where she wasn't able to speak up because she didn't have the language or she didn't know how to really express what she didn't like, I think, oh, like I never want to feel like her. And so I need to actively have the things to protect her in me now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's beautiful. It's just because, like, in my experience with you, I've known you for a couple of years, and it's like you have so much joy about life. It's so much joy. And every time I get around you, I just get happy and giddy, and I feel so good because energy speaks volumes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, obviously, experience is the best teacher, and your experience has allowed you to get to a place in your life where you're comfortable in your own skin, you love who you are, and you represent yourself well. So
thank you.
Oh, it's just beautiful. I just wanted to give you that, man. I gotta
Thank you.
understand.
This is my. Are you kidding me?
No, this is just.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, because it's how I feel about you, and I think more people have to be told.
Yeah.
And it's not like you don't hear that. You know, we're told good and bad, whether it's reviews from your work or whatever.
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
I think how you show up and who you are and how you represent yourself, we all have to be reminded of that sometimes. Because the good in us can bleed out and help change other people.
Yes.
And I truly believe that.
Yeah.
So I just think people need to see it.
Oh.
But it's only crazy because that leads me to my next question, which is
polar opposite.
Yeah, in a sense. But I want to say, what is a lie that you tell yourself most often?
Maybe that I won't flip this table. That I'm equal parts as fiery as I am nice. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's probably the lie I tell myself, is that like, I won't just freak out in here.
Yeah.
Because also it's like that you know how this is. It's like people often when they meet me, they're like, oh my gosh, so kind, so this, so that. I can't even imagine you upset. And you're like, I'm a full person.
Yeah, I'm human. I'm human.
And I always tell them, like, I'm also a fire sign. Like I get upset.
I get pissed.
I get pissed. And I'm like, and when I do, you're not coming back from it. You won't, you're not going to know me now. It's not one of those.
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh, we're in a fight. And then it's like, oh, sorry about that. Remember when I said those things? I said those things and then you'll never see me again.
Wow.
And that's just me. So I tell myself the lie that like, I won't do that.
Because it's almost like when you said it, I felt it. That moment when you just said, like, you're not coming back. It was a.
But it's
even
like,
I feel you though.
It's like, because I think we all have choices in what we allow people to see or what we lead with, right? Like, somebody meets you and they say, wow, you're like way funnier than I thought. Like, and that's because maybe you don't necessarily lead with your comedy, but you could know that you're very funny, but you're like, that's not the first thing I'm going to present to you. Right. And maybe as you get to know me more, you're going to see that I'm a funny person.
How do comments like that, because that bleeds me into this, make you feel?
Oh, I think it's fine.
If somebody was to approach you and like, oh, you're more than this than I thought. Or, oh, your hair is not as long as I thought it was. Or when I watched your movie, or it's like, oh, you're funnier than I thought.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah. Because at the same time, it's like, it's hard for somebody to get the full perception of you. Yeah. They've got to watch a lot of stuff in order to see full range, full woman, full person. Mm-hmm. Like, I was talking to you about that clip for your own film. Yeah. And I'm like, you are scary in that. But my version of you is not that. Yeah. Like, I don't know you to be that person. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, no, Jarrell can get, like, because I've not seen that side of you. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Oh, it exists.
You know what I'm saying?
But I think, but it's that thing I got to dive into. Yes. Whatever that was.
Because we all have them.
Because we all have it. Yeah. And I think even she's talking about Summer of Violence, which is a dope film. You got to check it out, Apple TV.
Hello.
You know what I'm saying? Amazon Prime right now. But it's the thing that you have to be able to have these opportunities to dive into those other sides of you, because I think if you allow it to build up so much, when it does come out, it could be really bad. And it could come out at the wrong time. You know what I mean?
It's just like, what's the version of you when you're super comfortable? What's the version of you when you're new in the room? Yeah. What's the version of you when you're wanting to impress somebody? Yeah. There's so many sides. Yeah. And so yeah, my closest friends would be like, oh no, Andrea will cuss you out if she's not happy. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
people who don't know me like that would be like, really?
Yeah.
Like,
Because it's like, I've never seen you cuss anybody out.
Exactly, because I'm not
But
going to.
I have seen you not be too fond of somebody. I've been around you a couple of years now. I've seen you not be too fond of
So
a couple
you
people,
now
so.
know when
Yeah.
you've seen enough to be like,
Yeah.
oh, I can tell when there's an adjustment
Yeah.
to a perception of her, or to, yeah, like I get a fuller side.
Mm-hmm.
So I've now seen when actually that person's actually not getting a full side, right? Like, and that's just the truth. But I think sometimes we like to tell ourselves a lie of like, oh, I'm really kind.
Yeah.
Or I'm really nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, I always tell people I'm very kind, I'm not nice. And I never want somebody to think I'm nice, because people take advantage of people they think are nice. But I'm kind, very generous, love the people that are in my life. But I'm also very protective over like who gets to know me for real.
Yeah.
But I also have been in the business for so long that I also have like, I'm very good at giving you a sense that you do know me. Like,
that makes sense.
even though maybe I know that there's like another level or something deeper to
Yeah.
go to, but I it's like you just have figured out all these different versions of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think sometimes we can tell ourselves these like, just like a fun lie that
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah, you know,
that you're
why
like
not?
perfect.
Yeah, like, I don't
and
do
like,
anything wrong.
everybody thinks I'm nice.
I walk around like, oh my God, Andrea, she's here. Outside the room.
I'm
No, I
like,
get it.
no,
Yeah,
not
like,
at all.
trust
I'm
me.
like, yeah, if I'm not happy, it's like everybody knows. I always tell people, I'm like, my personality is big in every sense of it.
Yeah.
I have big warmth, but I also can be big in my coldness if I'm really not feeling it. And it's like, I'm like, I was having this conversation with a friend who also said she was like this. And we were like, yeah, I was like, I'm very malleable. I'm very go with the flow until I'm not. And then it's like, I'm not budging. And she was like, me too. And I don't know when it comes. I was like, either do I. I don't
It's
know when it
crazy,
comes
right?
until it
Yeah.
comes.
'Cause it
It's
just
like-
it doesn't have an identity.
It just
just
shows
shows
up.
up.
It's like-
It just shows up.
Or rather, what I look at it as is like, oh, in reality, a lot of the times my life and the ways that I move in my life is actually more in alignment with me than not.
Yeah.
So when it's not in alignment with me, that's why it feels so stark and so like, because oftentimes it's like the lane is really big because I'm actually living a lot of the times with the things that work for me and dealing with people that work for me and doing things that work for me. So the few times that I may run into like a corner or something I don't like, yeah, it will feel sharp.
Yeah, I mean, that makes
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it. If I run into a corner I don't like, it's sharp. I like what you said though. I'm kind, but I'm not nice because nice people get taken advantage of.
Yeah, they do.
But it's such a real thing.
Yeah.
It's almost even an idea in the dating world when they say nice guys finish last. Because that's what every woman say that they want.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't want a nice guy.
No, they want a kind guy.
You want a kind guy.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah, they want a
something I
kind
say
guy.
all the time. Just gentle.
Gentle.
He's kind. He's a gentle giant.
Kind.
You know what I mean? That type of
He's
thing, right?
generous.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
thinks about others.
Yeah.
Things like that. But
Yeah.
you don't want passive, and you
Yeah.
don't want somebody who's like afraid to say
That you
something.
can just walk over.
Yeah, because oftentimes nice is thinking about others too much and not enough about themselves.
Facts.
Kind is actually thinking about themselves first and then leading you to be in collaboration so that we can both do this perfectly. We can both do this together. We can both be aligned.
Yeah.
Kind is better.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. What are some day-to-day things you do that make you really feel good?
I'm very good at personal goals. So, like, I'll set personal goals all the time, month to month, quarter to quarter. And it could be anything from just like, practicing your French daily on Duolingo to,
Okay.
10,000 steps a day to certain amount of water to certain amount of gratitude you have to write out, going to bed at a certain time, like just making sure that you hit like 30 days of that or 21 days of that and like seeing it. Because then you think, well, wow, I'm in control of this. I'm in control of myself. And it's a personal goal that I'm accomplishing consistently. So you feel good about it. Even if you do little things, even if
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, wake up and not look at my phone.
Yeah.
And you do that consistently, say you just give yourself a challenge of doing that for a week, you will feel really good at the end of the week that you not only made this promise to yourself, but that you were able to accomplish it and that you trust yourself and you can keep doing these. I do those things all the time.
That's beautiful because it's like how I look at building a house or I look at building a foundation. It's not all built in one day. Every day it's another personal goal. Every day we got to build this foundation or this brick or lay this, down for mud to be able to put this up. And over a course of time, you get a beautiful house.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's almost like taking those little pieces every day that you allow yourself to gain access, that gives you positivity, that gives you light in your life, that helps you wake up every day. Because again, you talked about choices earlier, but that's a big thing for me. I always tell people everything that you do in life is a choice.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes,
and
I
don't
believe
think
that.
people get that. I mean, from the moment that you wake up, you're making a choice. Do I want to check my phone first or do I want to use the bathroom?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
After you check your phone, okay, now am I going to go lay back in the bed or am I going to check my email?
Yes.
Oh, do I want to get something to eat right now or what time I want to go to the gym?
Yeah.
But every single moment moment is making a choice.
Yes.
And ultimately, it's going to lead you to where you're going to be dependent on the choices
That's
you
the thing. The whole thing is choices for your future self.
Yeah.
And so I think about it like that. Like, especially if you're in a space where you're feeling like a lot is out of your control.
Yeah.
The easiest thing you can do for control is to literally be like, oh, set some personal goals.
Yeah.
And the personal goals will just, it will realign you like
Yeah.
immediately. I'll do them even too to my girlfriends. Like if I talk to one of my friends, she tells me she's a bit down or she tells me this, I'll always offer like, should we do like 30 days of posting? Should we do something like that to
That's
get you
actually
back
good.
in your
Yeah.
spirit? And but I'm really good at personal goals, and not everybody likes those, but I'm very good at them, and they are my like superpower in terms of like realigning me. Yeah,
It's only crazy because I was going to ask you that, like, what is your superpower? But if that's the thing,
it is.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Because alignment is everything.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people forget that. I think they get thrown off course, and you have to realize when you're in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So many things start to come to fruition for you.
Oh, for sure.
Manifestation starts to fall right in your way.
Yeah.
Because you're in alignment. And there's a lot of things that can throw you off
Yes.
of you being in alignment from what you're trying to do. And it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to fall into something else because you might be going down one path and then you will get on Instagram one day and see somebody doing something and be like, maybe I should do that way. And it's like, no, but your alignment is what it is.
The whole time.
Trust it.
The whole
Trust
time.
the process.
And also like I heard somebody say this today, and I'm a believer in this of like, just ask yourself, just talk to yourself the whole time. Like oftentimes the next move, the thing you should or shouldn't be doing, the answer is right here. So just ask, like, if you're just feeling so confused, just ask yourself what you should do. Or movement will help you to come up with ideas. So like go on a walk, go on a run, go just do something. And I swear to God, you will have all the ideas, all the answers that you possibly need will just download every single time. And so that too, to me, is like, that's getting back into alignment.
Yeah. No,
And
it
the
is.
alignment is everything, because yes, obviously people do struggle with social media and looking at people's pages and thinking, oh my God, look at her life or his life, and should I be doing stuff like that? And I understand why those things can be of influence, but at the same time, I think to myself, it has to like slap me in the face, I have to be so like, oh my goodness. This idea is so great in order for me to think I should apply that to myself.
Yeah.
Oftentimes what I more so am interested in is the strategy behind why the person's doing what they're doing. Like that to me is the bigger ask.
Yeah.
Are they putting themselves out there in a way to get a certain kind of attention that is going to benefit them in the end? And then what am I doing strategically to also do something that is going to do something like that? And that's what I should be inspired by for this person. Not, oh, I too should be, I don't know, posting sketches online or something like
Right,
that. You
like,
know,
I need
it's
to do the
like,
same
no,
thing,
you don't need to. But is the strategy more so to just be seen?
Yeah.
Is the strategy to be consistently making something? Is that like, that's always the bigger ask and the more interesting ask, to be honest with you.
It seems like you have a great identity in being able to talk to yourself.
I do.
And that's what's beautiful. Because I think for humans, a lot of human beings, that's who they talk to the least, themselves, which is that's who you should talk to the most.
I really think that.
You know what I mean? And I try to explain this to people. I'm like, every day you try to sort out for these friendships or relationships, or you want to hang around your friends, or you need to get validation or confidence from whatever the social platforms will give you or the people that you hang around. And if you're looking for those type of conversations and validation, all you have to do is just talk to yourself
The whole time.
the entire time. And I think people get afraid of that.
Yeah, I don't know
It's crazy
why.
to me.
Yeah, because I'm like, just ask yourself, or maybe it's journaling. Like,
Yeah.
if you can't, like, you can't like have this convo, but it's like, it's journaling, it's writing those little ideas that pop into your head for no reason, and like, piecing them together eventually to be like, wait a minute, here's kind of an idea. It's acting on the first thing that pops into your head instead of doubting that voice, but more so asking yourself, well, why was that so loud? And then now make some moves to say, okay. And if you're afraid, or if you're, okay, cool. Like, now some self-work that you actually have to do, but the voice inside of your head, I don't know. To me, it's like, it's the answers the whole entire time.
It's always so crazy because usually when I open up, my episodes, I like to ask questions and but I was so excited to talk to you that I was just like, I can't wait to talk to him. But I just love how God works, because the question I actually intended to ask you, we've hit that point right now.
No way!
I'm so serious.
Because I was going to say, wait, you didn't ask a crazy question to start.
But the question I was actually going to ask you, now that we're actually talking about it, which was, if someone learns from a mistake, was it a mistake?
No.
What's the difference between a learning opportunity and a mistake?
Really nothing. And I guess that's the thing. If you trust yourself, if you trust your journey, if you trust that nothing is by accident, then there is no mistakes. They're all just lessons to be learned. They're all just moments to grow. And they're all just like preparing you and getting you ready for the thing you actually want, for the space that you're supposed to be in, because you will, right? Like, we all have, like, even when you asked before, like, confidence, I'm saying, like, I've seen a lot. Like, I've seen a lot. I've had a lot of moments where maybe I didn't have the right answer. I didn't have the stuff. Yeah. And then maybe something similar shows back up, and now I'm actually prepared. Now, wait a second. That wasn't a mistake before. That was just like the first time I was seeing this thing. Yeah. Now I actually know how to deal with it. And so, I don't know if I necessarily believe in mistakes, but I do understand that it's hard. It is. It's hard because you may wrestle with it for a while to think, well, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I? It's like, well, you didn't know. You weren't, like, you didn't have the voice.
Or did you know, but you just decided against it? I only say that because sometimes I look at life and I'm like, our conscious and our soul is different from maybe who we are on the external. It's almost like we can look at something and do something and be like, I knew I shouldn't have did that, but you did it anyway. So what is the voice inside of your head telling you when your voice is saying, no, don't do it, but you go, you know what? Fuck it.
Well, then I have to, I guess.
You see what I'm saying? Because you're now battling and fighting with this inner
I guess the question is, in that case, is more like, well, then you still have more self-work to do because you still don't trust your intuition. If the voice told you don't, if the body told you don't, but you still did it anyway, you don't trust yourself.
And then you say, oh, well, that was my mistake. See what I mean? If somebody was to say, oh, well, shit, I made a mistake.
And that's the thing. Hopefully, because you'll keep learning this until you figure it out. Yep. So hopefully the next time it shows up, you don't question anything. You just listen to the voice one time and you say, okay, that's that. Sorry. Like, that's just the way that goes. Or your body, because our body reacts. Like, if somebody's like, oh, I'm having like really terrible tummy or like nightmares, it's like, it's a signal. It's trying to say, hey, like, something here is not it. And if you're just going against it, it's like, okay, you're still not quite there.
Because I think you can consciously make a mistake. It's like,
definitely.
I meant to put this here and it slipped my mind. But I also believe some humans use mistake as an excuse. because it's easier for you to be like, oh, my mistake.
Yeah.
When you intentionally just didn't do it anyway. You know what I mean? Like some people really use that. It's like, oh man, my bad, man. I didn't like, bro, you knew. You knew. So I feel like sometimes that falls into the excuse category.
Yeah,
like,
and then and that's a person who's really more so like, okay, yeah, there's self-work that needs to be done because we don't want to make excuses for ourselves and we don't really want to, I don't want to repeat these kind of things. And so if I am going against it in any way, I mean, even in the smallest ways, like, I went out to dinner with a friend and when she got to the restaurant, she actually ended up with a flat tire. And she said to herself, my heart said to take an Uber. And I just didn't. I was like, what's even the point? I'm going to drive. And she's not really this kind of person. So I didn't want to get into it, but I wanted to be like, that was your intuition telling you like, hey, just make your life easier. Take an Uber, boom, boom, boom. So like a portion of our night was kind of dealing with this, with the flat tire and what to do and and all of that stuff. But it's like, that's something so small. And sometimes it's those little tests of trusting intuition that is hard for us to truly listen to it in that tiny of a way. Like that's how often you are being guided.
Yeah.
And it's like,
why is the voice there?
Why would be there?
I just did a podcast about listening to the inner voice because that is a real thing. There are so many times in your life where you say to yourself, and we've all done it, you go, I should have went with my first mind.
Yes.
Why do you think you say that to yourself all the time? Because that energy, that intuition, that voice is such a real thing.
Because you knew.
Yeah, you knew.
You knew. But for whatever reason, I think it feels scary to truly like have a day or a week or whatever it is and really listen to every single little thing, even though we probably are in more ways than we realize. But I think about that often, that I'm like, what does a real day look like where I really listen? Yeah. Am I capable? I have no idea.
Yeah. As far as acting, because I know we talked a lot about mental and acting, and I love you as an artist and an actress. What is something that you feel like you continue to discover about yourself as an actress from this role to the next? What is or one thing that you feel like, you know what, I discover that?
I think more than anything, I discover that I genuinely like it. Because in this business, you meet so many of your peers who are almost bitter or angry about the business or in it because it's quick money for them or some other reason. They want fame. And so the actual opportunity to act is not what's leading them. Yeah. And so that's why auditions are frustrating for them. That's why this other thing is frustrating for them, because they're still not going back to just the core of playing and thinking, I really love doing this thing. Yeah. And I realize all the time that even if whether I have one line or all the lines, whether I'm number 1 on the call sheet or number 30 on the call sheet, I am like genuinely happy to act. Yeah. And that, I think, surprises me, because it's like, I've been in it since I was a little girl, and I could be bitter, I could be all these things, and instead I'm more like excited. So I like it, and and I'm excited when I see people's careers move in ways that you wouldn't have predicted. Yeah. When you see them get to play characters you never would have saw for them, or do something that just so like, oh my goodness, like, or you watch something and you just think, wow, I want to play a character like that. Like that is good. That means your heart is still in it and you still love the core of it, which is what will essentially keep you here.
Black beauty effect. You know, obviously, before we get out of here, we have to know, because I think this journey, and I got a chance to come to the screenings.
You
and the
sure
opening.
did.
I got to see it. Congratulations, because it is just awesome for where we are in our industry as far as understanding our culture and what we need. Yeah. Right? My question is, why the Black beauty effect, and why is it so important to you? When did that light bulb pop in your head and make you say, I have to create this? What is the moment that went, you know what? I'm doing it.
Yeah. I'm a lover of beauty. I'm like a true beauty enthusiast in the sense of like I actually love professional makeup artists and hairstylists and like the celebrity ones. Like I'm hype when I meet them.
That's dope.
And like sometimes more excited than the celebrity because I'm just like, this person is a magician. Like they can make you feel like amazing. They can do something that I cannot do. And so I've always been like this. I grew up like this, like my mom, my grandmother, everybody in my life just loved that kind of stuff. So I grew up in this way. Then on top of that, growing up in the film and television business, you're in a hair and makeup trailer. So you kind of get to see people's perceptions of even your beauty. Yeah. And when they hit the mark, when they don't hit the mark, the good, the bad, you get to just experience it while also being like a consumer and looking at magazines or looking at music videos or looking at TV and understanding beauty from all of those points of view. And at the time when I really had the idea, I was living in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn is like a haven for Black women. It's like every single type is there.
Woman is there.
Like,
Brooklyn,
there's no,
sure.
And like loves themselves.
Yes.
It's like from the corporate to the boho to like every version. And just really, it just really did it for me. And at the same time, when I was living there was kind of like natural hair movement was happening. Yeah. YouTube and people were putting themselves out there and all of this kind of stuff. And I was just very inspired, but I really felt like media did not portray the way my community felt. So the women in my life, my friends loved themselves, loved their hair, loved the uniqueness of their skin and everything. But you wouldn't see popular media treating Black women like that or showing the things we were doing in despite of. Like that's what was so beautiful about all these beauty gurus that started their careers on YouTube was it was like these were girls turning on their camera and being like, none of these products work and I'm going to show you why. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to make them work, right? So I just knew I had this idea for a while. And like I said, I started my producing journey probably 2012. When I made my web series but I guess even a little before that, I started doing YouTube and content with my friends and just kind of figuring that stuff out. So when I had the Black Beauty Effect kind of concept that I knew I just wanted something to celebrate beauty and talk about Black beauty the way I saw it, I had it for a while. And when I would talk to people about it, people didn't always get it. I'd always call it my big baby. But people are so used to like a drama story or something. So they'd be like, well, what's the hook? What's the catch? What's this? And I'd be like, nothing. It's like
the point.
Yeah.
It's the
like
point.
Just to celebrate. That's it. And then it was 2017. Yeah. 2017. I woke up just very frustrated and very like annoyed. Like everybody I was talking to just didn't really get it. And I finally was like, okay, I'm going to be proactive about this and just started doing I guess the traditional thing that you would do, I started to package it as in I made a sizzle, I made a deck. I started to just think about what I want the story to be and talk to everybody I knew about this kind of concept. And then as the years passed in about 2018, end of 2018, 2019, I met my producing partner on it who was CJ Faison and his production company Face Forward. And he was the first person truly that just was excited. Just was like, what are you, I get it. What CJ are you trying to do?
Excited. He's a good brother, man.
And so with him, I was like, cool, I trust CJ, let's run with it. I was very lucky as well, though, that one of my friends and one of my champions, Keisha Boyd, who is an executive at Comcast, and she and I would just go to lunch and I'd always just tell her every progress within it. And so during the pandemic now, and you have an uprise of Black Lives Matter, you have all these kind of stuff. So we ended up having every pitch you could possibly think of, to every network. The problem was because of what was happening in our world, they wanted it to be like a civil rights story. And it was not. We literally were like, these women are not protesting. This is a celebratory story. That's it. Finally, Keisha was like, come pitch to us at Comcast. And it was not having a pitch. It was just as if you were talking to your friend because she got it the whole way through, but it had developed and developed. So by the time she saw it now, it was our full thing. It was the series. It was a 3-part. It was everything that it needed to be. And Comcast was our first partner and came on board. And then that same screening that you came to in LA, our big premiere, we invited Netflix, who we had already pitched to during, let's say, Black Lives Matter. And like, you know, and they didn't necessarily get it at that time. But then once they saw it, they were like, oh. And so then we started talking to them right then and there. Even though we were premiering on Comcast, we knew that like basically in 6 months to a year, we would be on Netflix right after. And so, yeah, but the story really came about just because of my lived experience. I'm like a total beauty girl who just believes in celebrating Black beauty. And I get to experience the celebration often, from the beauty founders to the influencers. Like I've literally, my career somehow has been at like the intersection of it. I always tell people, I'm like, not only did I meet influencers really early in their careers, even one of my friends who, you know, Melissa Butler from they started Lip Bar.
Yep, Lip Bar.
Like when we were both living in Brooklyn at the same time, and she was doing it in her apartment. And so I got to see even the progress there. So I just got to see so much of this industry, and something about it just reminds me of, I just would say, my own pursuit, in the sense of that you have to believe in this thing, even though so many people are telling you, I don't know if this is going to work, or I don't know if this makes any sense, or why don't you expand it, or why don't you this, or why don't you that? And you're just like, no, like I believe in this exact thing, and this is what I'm going to do. And so that was really the core of Black Beauty Effect. It was meant to be a series that celebrated the game changers and saw beauty the way I see beauty. And so we were lucky. It's a 3-part series, one episode on hair care, one on skincare, one on makeup. And it's on Netflix.
Yes,
and,
it is.
And yeah, and it's my sweet little baby.
Hey, I just want to say to you, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I want to congratulate you for all the work that you put in. And even you talking about, you know, the Black Beauty Effect, it's dope because you took an idea of something that wasn't, you just tried to create it. It actually was home for you because you've dealt with this for years in the industry. And you made it a passion project. And you allowed your passion to be manifested into something beautiful because you genuinely believed in it. Yeah. And you believed that the story needed to be told. And look what has come from it. Look at the deals that you've gotten. Look where it is. Look where people can watch it. And so it just excites me that I can literally be next to someone like you and just be honored to call you my friend.
You know, I love you.
I know. I love you so much. I'm so excited for everything that you are doing. Yeah. Where your career is headed.
Thank you.
I know we have so much more work to do together.
I know.
Because 3 ways wasn't it.
No, it was like just the start.
Yeah, but even that process in itself was magical. It was magical to have you along with me because it felt good.
Yes. It was, you know I know. It's like
felt good.
That shoot, it's like my brain can only picture fun. Was it only fun?
It was only fun. That's all I could have. It was a lot of laughter and fun. And we, you know, I tell people all the time, they was like, man, how was it shooting that movie? And I was like, it was fun.
It was so fun. And we had like all these night shoots.
Yeah. Everything was a night shoot.
Yeah. And
it was like 4 to 4, 7 to 7. But we was figuring it out. We was doing it, and
that's why I'm like, no, I had the best time.
Yeah, which I love. Now we had an intimacy coordinator, and now they're getting nominated for awards. They can be stunt people now are able to get. So I do see the growth. I think it's dope. But yeah, man, that shoot was it was really cool, man, to have that experience with you.
I don't know if you had this. I had like one of the best lessons I got from that shoot was our intimacy coordinator, Tati, said. Don't focus on the no's, focus on the yeses. Focus on what you will do, not all the things you won't do. And she was talking about it in you know, with an intimacy scene. Yeah. But I apply it to life all the time because you can get so focused on like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. But it's like, focus on only like, well, what will I do? Yeah. And it changes everything. But every time I think about that saying and I think about that shoot and I'm like,
that's what I took.
That was a shoot.
That's the gym.
That was a shoot.
That's the gym. Well, look, I'm so thankful that I got to sit down and talk with you today.
Thank you.
You are such an incredible talent.
Thank you.
You have so much ahead of you, man. I'm loving that we're building a friendship that we have for the years, knowing each other's families.
Yes.
But also just knowing each other as artists and being able to live in this lifetime and share our art with each other. That's what I love. So I just want to say I love you. I appreciate you.
Oh,
And I thank you for being here.
thank you.
Yes. And again,
Thank you for having me. And thank you for this.
Yes, please. Give it up, man. Andrea Lewis, the one
Thank
and only.
you.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey. And that's another episode of your boy. This is REL Talk, man. We appreciate y'all being in the building with us. Make sure you tune in because we got some more exciting episodes coming y'all way. But you already know what it is, man. We'll be at y'all. One.
Hey, let this shit ride for a minute, man.